So I did get a chance to watch your video on the topic of developing the moon. I do have a couple of questions for you. My first question, I wanted to know what you meant when you said that the government should develop the infrastructure for developing the moon. Like, what did you mean by infrastructure?
Well, infrastructure, the first, of course, would be unmanned operations to scan and take samples, obviously, and then gradually you would create permanent structures on the moon that would be able to, routinely extract water for the purposes of moon colonies eventually.
Okay, so you just like the sort of unmanned operations to run itself, make it easier to have the moon.
Yeah.
My next question really comes down to what did you want to prove when you mentioned the sort of oil crisis? I fail to see the relevance that an oil crisis has to do with developing water on the moon.
I was just making the point that lack of global resources and potential disaster situations such as global extinction makes it necessary for us to try to establish colonies on other planets in case the living on Earth no longer is viable.
All right. Uh, Finally, my last point that I would like to address is you mentioned that it's really not the responsibility of the private sector, that they can't handle this sort of responsibility, and that they really shouldn't have any part in developing the moon. It should be the government's job. And I want to address the possibility of how you feel about the possibility of the private sector working with the United States government in maybe a funding sort of fashion to sort of get the ball rolling, because there are people, billionaires, even entrepreneurs, that maybe don't necessarily want to build the rockets themselves, but would gladly give someone the money to do it. So why shouldn't that be the government and still let the private sector be involved?
Well, a joint venture could be entirely possible. However, just with recent concerns over private companies not being competent enough to send, manned missions to space. I mean, accidents happen, of course, with space travel, but the United States itself has a better track record of actually, landing people on the moon. Obviously, we're the only ones who've done it. However, that, that wouldn't necessarily exclude uh, perhaps help from private companies in unmanned space travel, so that to reduce the chance of human lives being lost.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.